to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the Beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
What's going on, family? It is, if I'm not mistaken, it is Monday, 11 a.m. So you know what time it is. You're in the Beatdown. I'm Brew. This is the Badger. What's going on, bro?
Hey, man. Another great show. Here. Right, man. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing well. Give me 1 second. Let's see if this audio issue is on my end. All right. Say something. No, I don't think it's on my end, bro. For some reason, your audio is kind of sketchy.
Audio is sketchy?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're on the phone. You know, like that old phone sound effect.
I just reset the Wi-Fi before we started. Hold on.
Are you going through your mic?
Default.
So you're going through the computer audio?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all right. We'll work with it. Did you catch the David Morrell fight this past?
Yeah. A mismatch. I mean, Morrell is a prospect. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now it came in real well. I don't know what happened.
Maybe it was the Wi-Fi, bro. I don't know. But yeah, David Morrell, a highly rated prospect. A showcase fight for him. I mean, this kid, he was fighting Ross, whatever his name was. Start with a G. Yeah, I was on the right track. Yeah, he was not ready. He was clearly not ready. Again, I don't know what we learned about Morrell in this fight. So with that being said, it was good for PBC to be able to throw something on to drive some type of ratings. And, for a prospect like Morrell, who I'm sure they had to, when they were in pursuit of him, to get him to sign their promotion, this is a good look. Hey, there's a prime time slot during the holidays. Nobody's really watching, but here you go. At the same time, for people that are watching and have nothing else to watch, they get to become familiar with the PBC brand they're fighting. So that's all I took from it. The fight itself was what it was supposed to be, a showcase for Morrell.
Gavronski is not a bad fighter. I looked into his background. He just isn't anywhere close to Morrell's level. I mean, a lot of people get confused because coming into the fight, David Morrell was 3-0. So you look at this 3-0 versus like 26-8-1 or 28-6-1, something like that. You're like, wow, okay, this is a mismatch the other way. But then when you see the skill level and you're like, how is Morrell coming in here at 3-0 looking very elite? And we kind of went through yesterday a little bit, just his background in the amateurs. And this guy, he's on a fast track like Lomachenko. Not as fast because Lomachenko got a world championship fight in his very first fight, which he lost, but then turns around and gets another one and wins. So, he's on a fast track like Lomachenko. So I'd like to see really just where he goes within his first 7 fights.
Well, I think you're on a pretty good point there. I think what we're both looking for, the proper word is, again, like I spoke of, I think last week on the show sometime, pageantry, right? It's the hype, it's the build-up, it's me selling you a bill of goods that, may not appreciate right now, but later on down the line it will. Like you said, Morrell, with his deep amateur background. So yes, the experience was misleading on the ledger, but again, we have great matchmakers, right? And people that know how to put on good programs. This looks like a very competitive fight on paper. So yes, you're right, but the common fan, right, the Joe public doesn't understand how this works in the game of boxing. all they see is a guy that's only fought 3 times. All beat, he won them all, but only fought 3 times. This guy's fought, what, 30 times?
Yeah, like 35.
And he's lost some of them. Right, he's lost some of them, but he's won a lot of them too, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's about the pageantry.
I mean, I think it was 28-6-1. So, I mean, you've had 35 fights. You've won 28 of them. And you have a draw in there. So, it's pretty respectable when you look at his record. And you knew something was wrong when he comes in the ring and the commentators are talking about his performing arts prowess. And you're like, okay, you're not talking about the fights he had before now. You're talking about the fact that he was in a Midsummer Night's Dream with his fiance or his wife. And I'm like, hey, I got a theater background, I get it. But you don't hear too many people who are getting in the ring. Their greatest accomplishment is being summer stock theater. So I kind of let you know what we were expecting if you were really paying attention inside the lines. But it wasn't competitive. People give Kravansky credit for not getting knocked out, but he did get stopped. And on your record, it's going to look the same. So, I'm glad he wasn't seriously hurt. I'm glad Morrell got in there. He didn't get really hit with anything. But he got a good sparring match, pretty much, because he just did everything he wanted to do inside that ring. I mean, everything. It was a plethora of tools on display, and Kravansky didn't have an answer for any of it. Any of it.
And I mean, this is the beauty of combat sports, right? It's the only sport where we'll watch something that's not even competitive. Like in the early '90s, you watch Florida State play Wake Forest just because you want to see highlights, not because you thought the game was going to be competitive, right? You didn't watch,
or any team in the ACC.
Right, or and let me help you out here too. Even when Penn State had their run in the late '80s, early '90s, but listen to this. In the early '90s, the mid like that from '90 to 2000, not to go too far from a tangent, you didn't watch either of the big 3 Florida schools play anybody other than each other, or maybe like the big dog of that conference. Like you would probably watch Florida State, Florida State, Miami. The other games, with the exception maybe Clemson, every so often, Florida State was going to watch them. Same thing with Miami, right? It was going to be everybody in the Big East. You might get some competitive out of Virginia Tech one year, but it was kind of, you knew how that was going to end up. Same thing with Penn State. You get 1 or 2 competitive games, maybe Michigan, Ohio State. Other than that, y'all was watching everybody. So you watch those games to see how bad you were going to dominate the team. Combat sports is the only sport genre, bro, excuse me, where you genuinely will watch something that it's not competitive, bro. Nobody watched Jacksonville against Chicago yesterday. Nobody watched Baltimore against the Giants.
I did.
People want to watch Miami, Oakland, or Las Vegas, mind you, or these teams that were evenly matched on paper. You knew good and well Baltimore was going to watch the Giants. You just want to know the spread, right? Every now and then you'll get a Jets-Browns game where the underdog actually wins, or the Jets-Rams week before that. But most times, bro, we know exactly what we're looking at when we look at other sports. Combat sports is the theater of the unexpected, and we will always show up to watch a fight, no matter how bad the mismatch.
Did Jacksonville end up beating Chicago?
Absolutely not.
Sadly enough, I thought that would be interesting to see what would happen had they beaten Chicago.
Why? We're playing for Trevor Lawrence.
Huh?
We're playing for Trevor Lawrence. That means that we don't.
Used to be playing for Trevor Lawrence.
No, they gave that up last. They gave it up the week before last, and then this past weekend they sealed it. So we're good. You'll get a good. Listen, who we got this week? Who we got? Tennessee. We got a division. We got a division team this week, I think.
Poor Trevor Lawrence.
We'll go out there and play hard.
Trevor
we'll give
Lawrence,
it all we got. We'll give it all we got.
You should not go into the draft. Do not enter the draft. Seriously, don't enter the draft. You don't have to.
Geography helps us. Despite what you say,
he can't block for himself.
Despite what you say, Sumter, South Carolina may only be a 4 or 5 hour drive from Jacksonville. It's going to be orange in the sea of teal and black at the Cat House. One Tiger to a Jaguar. It makes sense, bro. Trevor Lawrence bring the fan base. We are good despite your hateration right now.
I'm not hating. I'm looking out for his health. Bro. You don't worry about his health. For yourself, Trevor Lawrence.
Listen, bro. Just get ready to lose whatever the rest of the hair you got. come this playoff run y'all got. Be worried about that. Don't worry about my team.
That's
we
right.
good.
We're gonna be in the playoffs.
Oh,
Can y'all even spell it?
You know what? Y'all actually might not make it. Y'all got to win out, bro.
We will win out. Who do we play last game of the season?
It's a division game.
Yeah, it's a division game. The
Is it the Steelers
play
or
the
Browns?
Browns, and that's what's going to help us. Because Cleveland lost yesterday, which put us in a tie. I forgot who it is we need to.
But y'all gotta beat Cincinnati, right? Y'all got Cincinnati Sunday.
Yeah, we got Cincinnati Sunday. That's a done deal. That's a done
Be
deal.
Be careful, bro.
That's a done deal. That's like us playing Jacksonville. We got this.
Yeah, well, whatever you say, my friend.
So
just keep this same energy. If it go the other way, that's all.
It won't. Not as long as Lamar stays healthy and we have one receiver who can catch.
Wow. Meanwhile, so what else we got, man?
Shout out to Mark Andrews.
He's pretty good, actually.
Plant.
Okay.
Caleb Plant says it's inevitable that Canelo will need to fight him because there's not room for both of them in this division. He told Brian Kelly that in an interview.
Hey, pretty lady.
Okay. Your TV time is up.
But yeah, so I like that. But we talked about this last week, bro. I think I said that I thought Canelo would have to face a couple of those dudes next year. I don't think he skates by next year clean, bro. I think he gets Ildrim first because that's the mandatory. But I think after Ildrim, he's got to get Caleb Plant or Billy Joe.
He's already looking at another fight before Billy Joe Saunders, and I think that is Ildrim. And then
Ildrim's the mandatory. He has to fight him. They already mandated that. Yeah. So I'm not holding that one against him.
It's but he was working on a contract with Caleb Plant before he took the fight with Callum Smith.
Yep, but Caleb didn't want on short notice. Correct. Yep. That indeed. A lot of people didn't know that. That is true. Caleb did not want to fight short notice. Even though he was ready, I think he felt like he probably needed a little bit more I think he probably felt like he needed just a real camp, needed more time. Yeah. But if you were following the encrypted messaging on Caleb Plant's Instagram, he was kind of implying that there was a contract on the table for a fight, but he wasn't sure if he'd be able to take the fight or not for logistics reasons and all that other stuff. But yeah, so Ildrim will be his next test, and rightfully so. He will fight 3 times next year, so I think Caleb Plant will definitely be one of those fights. And I heard there are rumblings of Jamal Charlo. Don't know how true any of that is, but remember, bro, too, Canelo is his own entity now. He's not doesn't have any obligation to Golden Boy or the Zone,
right?
Even for distribution. So if you think about it from the money perspective, what other 2 fights draw enough? Listen, I think Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez for a unification fight at 160 is a mega fight. And you and I both know why. And it's not just because of Canelo. We know that Caleb Plant is not the star Canelo. Let me tell you something about Caleb Plant. He got the complexion for the protection. And they're going to bleed that. And forget about the fact he's a world-class fighter. The boy he's one of the best in the world, obviously. But before any of that, he's got the skin tone. And he's got the backstory, both from poverty and what he went through as a young father with his baby. A black girl, a black wife. This only gets better. This storyline only gets better.
Jordan. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, she. Yeah.
Dad is in his corner. So now you got all these different dynamics going on. The poverty, the dad-son trainer, their mixed relationship, the tragic daughter, you know what I'm saying, or her illness, and he's got all, and then he just lost his mom. Bro, you got all these storylines you can pull from. And the kid is marketable. He looks the part and he speaks well. Bro, that is a super fight in Texas, bro. That fight has to happen stateside, either in Texas or Las Vegas, and Caleb Plant sells that fight more than people think he does, and it's a competitive fight. I like that fight, bro. I think it happens next year.
Well, from reports are saying that Eddie Hearn's already got Canelo at the table for a 2-fight deal with the first guy you were talking about, and then with oh my goodness, the 2 fights you just mentioned for Canelo before Caleb Plant.
Ildrum and the winner of the Billy Joe Andrade fight.
Yeah. He has Eddie Hearn's already offered him a 2-fight deal with them first. Now it didn't say he's agreed to it, but it said he's negotiating it with Eddie Hearn.
So let me just be clear, bro. You're saying the Ildrum fight and the subsequent fight are both those are the 2 fights that Eddie Hearn's trying to.
Yes.
Okay, Ildrum's already done, so that's one, and he one more. Yeah, bro, but that's still another fight because that'll be 3 fights next year. So he still has that one more fight. So yeah, I mean, even if he goes that route, because we know that a fight with Billy Joe Saunders or Demetrius Andre would be a good fight for Canelo. We know that.
Yeah.
But he's got to come down to 60 to do it.
No. Who's got to come to 60? Canelo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm looking to make sure that Ildrum is the one.
Yeah, Ildrum is the man. Oh, you mean as far as the deal with Eddie?
The deal with Eddie.
With Eddie Hearn? Oh, okay. But yeah, the WBC already put that down, bro. They already said that Ildrum was going to get the winner of that fight, Canelo Smith fight.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But Ildrum, I'm trying to find the guy because I don't think Ildrum's the one Eddie Hearn.
Probably not. But the crazy part about it is, bro, he also has a belt at 75. And I don't think we've dug deep enough to see who is mandatory to be on that side. That'd be interesting too. Maybe I'm just trying to think of who else Eddie would try to match him with at 60.
Yeah, it is Avni Yildirim.
It is Ildrum. Okay, yeah.
So that's before Saunders. So that's gonna be interesting. Bear with me, bro. Something is happening in my system, and I'm not really understanding it. Keep talking. I can hear you.
Oh yeah, well yeah, okay. But yeah, bro, I'm interested to see what's going on. But listen, I feel this way. I may be a little bit biased. I think Canelo wants the legacy, bro. I think Canelo legitimately wants to go down as the greatest boxer ever, and certainly the greatest Mexican boxer ever. He still got some ground to cover because JCC is one of the greatest to ever do it, and is definitely the greatest Mexican fighter ever.
But you're starting to hear rumblings, though.
I personally like Juan Manuel Marquez. Yeah, exactly. So I think Canelo, and look, bro, to be honest, who do you give a legitimate chance of beating Canelo from 60 to 68? Like, we like guys in fights with him, but could either one of us say, well, shouldn't we expect him to lose? Nah, we can't say that. I don't think he faces any real danger. I think the 50-50 fights, the legitimate, real 50-50 fights are at 75. And it's only 1 or 2 guys that can give it to him in that division either.
Wow.
So
Joe Goosen was talking about during the fight that he believes that Caleb Plant will be the one to take the titles from him at 68.
And that is legit, bro. We like Caleb's skill set. What I'm saying is you got what we're looking at right now is probably an all-time great. If he keeps his pace going, he in a groove, bro. Remember we talked about this a few weeks ago on the show. When fighters are just in a stride, every fight they just get better, and you see them improve in certain facets of their game, bro. This kid has been growing exponentially, bro, over the course of the last 3 to 4 years. He is getting better every time we see him, and we can't say that with every fighter. They may fight better, right? They may make their positive attributes stronger, but we're watching Canelo become a well-rounded, complete fighter, bro. That is hard to do, and he's still in his physical prime. He's 30. So he still got 3 to 4 years operating at this clip.
So it's interesting you say that because That's what I was saying. I'm hearing a lot of people now, and this is just like looking at blogs, and I'm assuming that it's coming out of the Mexican community, based on what's being said and who's responding, that Canelo is being considered now the best Mexican fighter. Not since Julio Cesar Chavez, but the best Mexican fighter, which is interesting. I didn't think I would ever really see that. But I saw a post the other day, and a guy was saying that his grandfather showed his dad the greatest Mexican fighter of his time, and then his dad showed him Julio Cesar Chavez, the greatest Mexican fighter of his time, and he said, "I will show my children Canelo Alvarez, the greatest Mexican fighter of all time." It's like, wow. You look at that, you're like, dang.
Yeah, bro. I mean, and so to go back more what you said with people that may have just caught on or jumped on, we talk about Caleb Plant. When you Winston 68, his name has to come up. From 60 to 68, we talk about Jamal Charlo, right? There are a few guys that we know with their skill set would make for a good fight.
Yeah.
At best, bro, and I'm just putting this out there, man. I don't want to offend nobody. And if I do, whatever. Anybody, unless you're talking about them two dudes at 75, when you talk about anybody else against Canelo Alvarez, you gotta start honestly and say this is a 60-40 fight. At best, this is a 60-40 fight.
Okay.
60-40 fights are worth your money. We're happy with 60-40 fights. We're more delighted than a pig and slop for 50-50 fight. Now that gets us salivating. But a 60-40 fight, we there for it. You got crabs, you know what I'm saying? I got the cabbage, and we there for those fights. Those are good fights. We like those fights. You rarely get 50-50 fights, bro. That don't mean you don't get magic in 60-40 fights. You can get upsets. It happens.
Oh, you get magic in 70-30 fights. Look at the card this weekend. What's his name? Kirkland, James Kirkland.
Oh, bro, I'm glad you brought it up. Go ahead, keep talking.
Because when he came into that fight, it was just like, okay, Kirkland's going to do his thing, get this guy out of here. Well, check hook to the temple in the first round, turned everything around, and Kirkland couldn't rebound from it.
And again, so let's talk about that. That was a perfect segue. Don't know if you knew it or not.
Of course.
The last time we saw James Kirkland look like James Kirkland was when? The fight before Canelo destroyed him.
Yeah.
When Canelo knocked him out at Minute Maid Park in Houston, he never looked the same. And this guy, when he was under the tutelage of Ann Wolfe, the great Ann Wolfe.
That's right.
And
on the farm,
when he was doing all these insane workouts, he was a wrecking ball. He had just enough defense and just enough chin to get him through what he didn't just automatically learn, and he bombed you. The Mandingo Warrior was not a joke. James Kirkland was feared.
Sean Porter talked about that when he came into fighting. When he became a pro, he said the one person he never wanted to have to fight was James Kirkland.
Yeah, bro, this guy was different. And before he could become who he probably potentially could have been, he got derailed. Domestic issues, then the drinking, and once it went off the rails, they tried to get it back home, but it was never the same. I think he may have won a fight or two, but he wasn't the same. And then he got Canelo, and it was over. And now we want to see him get back in the ring in hopes that he can show us flashes. And bro, he gets put out by a guy that he was supposed to beat.
He's done. He's done. Even the commentators were saying it was a sad sight. He's done. I mean, at some point you got to be able to recognize, okay, now I'm just hurting myself physically and potentially scarring myself for life when I get in here. I mean, this guy got him out quickly, but you know, it was just, it didn't look like the James Kirkland. I mean, the guy was backing up from him in the beginning. in the beginning of the first round. He was backing up from. He caught James while his back was on the ropes and James was bearing
Coming
down.
forward. Yep.
I was like, that was a beautiful check hook, right to the temple. Oop.
Yep.
Just there was nothing else he could do but go down. There was another fight before that, and I can't remember the name of the fighters. It was a young Mexican prospect who was undefeated.
Variantes.
Yes. Do you remember the guy who fought him?
Um.
Because he was 9-0 coming in.
Yeah, I would be lying to you if I tell you I remember his name, but yes, I do remember the fight. Yes,
It was a
but
good
before,
fight.
yeah, but before we jump too far off of
But it's the same thing happened.
James Kirkland, I just want to give people a rundown of the guys James Kirkland beat. First of all, James Kirkland is 34-3. All 3 losses come by way of knockout. James Kirkland, before he lost to Canelo back in 2015, stopped Glenn Tapia. You know, he wasn't a Tapia name per se, but he was a good fighter. He was a prospect. He stopped him. Carlos Molina won by DQ. Before that, he stopped Angulo. Stopped him. Before that, our good friend of the show, Ashandi Gibbs, a local boxing legend, he stopped him. And he stopped Brian Vera, who was on a hot streak when he fought. So James Kirkland wasn't some bum. He wasn't. He loses to Canelo Alvarez. He goes missing for 4 years, comebacks, wins a fight in August, and then wins a fight in November, turns around and fights a year later, which would have been yesterday or last weekend, and he gets knocked out. So yeah, it's just not the same anymore, and it's unfortunate. But this guy, he was on his way, man.
Yeah,
he was on his way, and it's just
the champions, the ones who become legends, are able to deal, or they're able to have people around them that help them deal with the fights inside and outside of the ring, and sometimes internally, because that's the greatest enemy of all. When something happens internally that starts metastasizing itself in your life outside of the ring, eventually it's going to work inside the ring. It's going to destroy you there as well.
Indeed.
So my shout out to James Kirkland. You were someone that everybody thought was just going to continue to run rampant and just destroy people. Nobody really wanted to fight him.
Nah, man. Nope.
I know you guys, you're too young to remember this, but do you remember a guy by the name of Dwight Braxton?
Nah, I don't.
His name when it changed to Dwight Muhammad Kawi.
Kawi. Oh, snap. Okay. Wow. Really? I didn't know that. Just taught me something, bro.
I remember when Tommy Hearns won a fight. It was Tommy Hearns. And Braxton came down the ringside, and even the security backed up. That was just... That was one of those guys that people just feared.
Yeah.
And you look at guys like that. I just brought him up thinking about, James Kirkland. Same persona. It just, it was funny that when you look at the parallels in career, maybe one day we'll put their careers side by side and see just what happened to Dwight Muhammad Kawi and James Kirkland in their careers, and I think you might find a lot of similarity there.
So crazy, man. But yeah, what could have been? Now that story is over. James Kirkland. Hope he got paid enough. I hope he made the right investments. I hope he's found a second passion or career that he can get started in, because he's a very young man. I think he's 36, 35, something like that. Yeah. So he still got 30 something plus years ahead of him, man. So yeah, I hope he finds something else to get involved in. But yeah, as far as combat sports, I think it's safe to say that those days should probably be behind him.
And the other fight we were talking about, I cannot remember the young man's name, young African American kid. He was brought in as the opponent for the Mexican prospect. And the opponent became the prospect, and the prospect became the opponent, because this kid didn't know he was supposed to lose, and he was throwing them things and got a stoppage. And the funny thing was, it was one of those things where if you're a casual fan, you may look at it and go, there's no way the ref should have stopped that fight. Well, the referee counted to 8, told him to come to him. He didn't move. He asked him a couple questions. He never responded. He stopped the fight. Then the kid wanted to respond. But you could tell that kid was disoriented after that clubbing blow that took him down. So, I'm sure
I did see where a lot of other. I'm sorry, bro.
Go ahead.
No, I did see where a lot of other fighters were commenting on the fight, and a lot of guys even before the fight started was saying stuff like, "Man, this is going to be a stiff test for Body and Test," because apparently he's, like you said, he's another highly rated prospect. A lot of guys know who he is. He's running through the amateurs and stuff. But I saw a couple guys tweeting, "Man, hey, I hope he's ready. This is a big step up for him." And wow. So now whoever the matchmaker is has to answer for this. Especially if the kid that beat him, and this is where I probably should have did my due diligence, was someone that was really supposed to lose, not only from a record perspective, but even
Here's the funny
how he had been moved. So we just crashed the Cadillac right now.
Yeah.
So either you gonna bring me up the Cadillac, or we got to figure out what we gonna do, because this is not.
Well, here's the thing. This kid was undefeated coming in. The opponent was undefeated coming in. So now he's 10-0, and he's like, okay. Make me the prospect. I just
yeah. And that's probably what he just did. He probably just inked himself a deal. Typically, the way these deals are structured, when you're an opponent, it's just a payday and you're done.
Yeah.
However, depending on who you are or the prospect or whatever, there is a built-in rematch clause. Or sometimes they do clauses where, okay, if you upset my guy, you got to give me the next 3 or 4 fights. I get to run you through some more of my potential prospects and then possibly run you back into the prospect that you just beat. If not, I'm going to test you to see how good you are, because guess what? You might become one of my prospects, not like you just said. So it's going to be interesting to see how this. We got to get that kid's name so we can watch him. We can add him on social media to see what happens with his career going forward. But it should be interesting.
Yeah, I think it will be. Because it's not like he's technically complete. But he's a tough kid. He stays within, those confines, keeps his head off the center line. He wings some punches, but this kid's got the goods, man. He throws a nice jab. He really plays good defense, and he has a good right hand.
Where is he from? Do you remember?
I wanted to say Michigan, but I could be wrong.
Okay, well,
I gotta look him up. Gotta look him up.
Okay. Yeah, anybody out there watching, if anybody's out there watching right now, y'all got his name, just shoot it to us in the chat. We want to follow this, because this will be a good little test too, bro. Like, just to kind of, you quietly watch. For those people that don't know, this is how you learn how the business of boxing works. You get instances like this, you just kind of keep up with it, and before you know it, you'll see a pattern. And that way you kind of understand a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes and stuff that you don't, that you're not really privy to.
Right. Because if you don't, then a couple years from now, you'll see this kid fighting for, the Intercontinental title or something. You're like, wait a minute, where have I seen this kid before? And they'll do a flashback to this fight and go, oh yeah, knock this kid out. But if you follow him, you won't be surprised.
Yeah.
So listen, that was a good card. And again, I didn't know it was coming, because we were saying last week, there are no more fights before the end of the year. And then
we forgot about that one.
Yeah. You look up on Saturday night and there's a fight on Fox. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to do my due diligence to find out if there's one this weekend that maybe we missed.
I think we're good, though. I think we do a pretty good job.
Bellator had a fight that I did not see. I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah, I saw something about that as well. Was it Lima? If it was the Douglas Lima fight, I think I kind of knew about it. I just forgot it was on this weekend. But yeah, I think Douglas Lima lost.
It was the Douglas Lima fight.
Yeah. See, I knew about it. I saw the promotion for it a couple weeks back, but I just missed it. But I did see that.
Yeah, I missed it completely. It was Grigard Musasi beat Douglas Lima. I was like, wow, I did not see that. I was looking, and I did not see anything about that. So, hey, in WWE news, they had to refilm a SmackDown match So for those of you who think SmackDown's live, no. They had to refilm
Okay,
a SmackDown match and instruct the superstar to sell the move.
listen, bro. This is your territory. This is your real estate. I'm in your neighborhood. I watched some WWE over the weekend on Saturday night, I think it was. My little cousins are WWE fans. We watched a little bit of it.
Okay.
Bro, and maybe you told me this before, but I did not know that Roman Reigns was related to your people.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. So then I learned, my cousin taught me about that. So then as we're watching the match, bro, no one told me that when they go to commercial break, that the wrestling match is still going on. You're missing it because you're having to watch some paid advertisement. And then when they come back, the match is going as if you were still there. Kind of cockamamie scheme is this that the WWE's got going on? I'm paying my hard-earned money to watch a fight, and because there's a commercial break, you can't put a pause in the action. You need to get like the NFL and the NBA and everybody else that's got sense and pause the action. It's all theater anyway. You can pause the action and then bring it back so we feel like we can see something in real time. I didn't know that, bro. I've been disconnected from wrestling so long, bro. I thought that they stopped. No, the match is still going,
They
and you
never
get what.
stopped it, bro. This isn't something new.
But remember when matches were fit in between commercial breaks, though? A match ended, and that's when you got commercials. The commercials didn't cut in between the matches. See how disconnected I am? It's been that long since I watched it.
And
So
if they
that
did,
was new to me, bro.
if they did, they would say, if anything happens during the commercial break, we'll bring it to you after the commercial. Yeah. It was rare, but yeah, you're right. Most of
Yeah,
them did. Yeah.
yeah.
Listen, I would never go to another SmackDown match. We went to a WWE SmackDown back in 1981, 82. We got tickets from the job I was working at the time.
It wasn't SmackDown in '82, but I hear you.
No, I'm sorry, 2002. Wow.
Okay, all right.
Working in 82.
Yeah, I was hoping not, but go ahead.
Wow.
You don't know about them child labor laws, or no, bro. You never know.
Hey, I was unfortunately that was when I was introduced to Brooksville, so they had kids at the Rock Mine.
There you go.
But 2002, me and the Red Belly went to the back then it was the Ice Palace to watch the SmackDown, and I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed because they would stop after every match and reset stuff, and it was literally recorded for television. And you're sitting there going, "What is this? This is nothing." It really wasn't. Raw was live, so I would always tell people back then, if you have your money, go watch Raw. That's live. Don't SmackDown. It's okay, but it's recorded. It literally
Yeah.
and it was sad. Anyways, yeah, that's it was a match between Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso, who is Roman Reigns' cousin. And they had to refilm the match after the recording stopped, and they instructed Daniel Bryan that when he was being attacked, he needed to sell the move more. This is one of the problems I see with WWE. Okay, you know these things are going to happen, but unlike AEW, who has picture-in-picture during their commercial breaks, so you can see what happens during a commercial, WWE always creates their own rules. And they expect the fans, because over the decades they have, the fans adhere to their rules of reality. Now the cat's being let out of the bag that you had to refilm a match. Hardcore WWE fans won't care. But those ones who are on the fence, you're pushing them further and further away to AEW, Impact Wrestling, which is back on now, which kind of sucks. But it's getting better. It's not back to where it was. That was the one that originally challenged WWE for supremacy in the mid-2000s.
So, and that was another nugget my cousin dropped on me as well. That he said that he thinks that AEW is better than WWE. That's what he told me. My cousin is a 16-year-old wrestling savant, so I'm learning from a high school kid. But yeah, he was like, "No, cuz it's da 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 da." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So he's another resource I will use when we start talking about these kinds of things. But yeah, I learned all this over the weekend, man. It was just interesting to see. But yeah, that whole commercial thing really threw me off. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Like this ain't how it's supposed to go. Then they almost have like the this is crazy because this stuff is beginning to look more and more like video games. When the wrestlers come out, they got their whole intro, which is nothing really new. Everybody has an intro now. We were going up, you were only good, you only had an intro if you were good.
And you
Even
only
the
saw-
opponents have intros now.
Right.
And they didn't record everybody's intro. You didn't. Some people you didn't get to see their intro, right?
Right.
So when these guys come out, they have a whole list of their fighter bio, who they fought, the last time they fought, what weight class they in. They got weight classes now. What weight class they in, what their finishing moves are, what they're vulnerable to. What is? Bro, I'm like, what is happening here? Like this is just so foreign to me. But hey, man, it's $1 billion industry. I mean, hey, that's what it takes.
Yeah. I mean, and what if you even look at AEW? What I like about AEW is they'll list their record, their real record, not their inflated record for the week. Stop. Go.
Oh,
No. Go.
just want to give Daddy some love.
I done with my homework. Time for recess.
You've done
Yeah,
with your
there
homework.
you go.
Time for recess. Okay. Let me know when I'm done what you went for lunch.
Got to adhere to the schedule, Pop.
I say, hey, mom's a drill sergeant, so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, AEW actually posts their real records. So you'll know, so and so has been undefeated in 2020, or they've had 2 losses in 2020, and their full record back to 2019 is this. Because keep in mind, AEW didn't start till the beginning of October 2019. So I like some of the nuances AEW is putting in there. Unfortunately, they're starting to subscribe to some of the antics that WCW and WWE put in. And if you know anything about TNA, Total Nonstop Action, Impact Wrestling, they were on a roll, bro. They were kicking WWE's behind in the mid 2000s. They were scooping up a lot of people who, for one reason or another, were cut from WWE. They were bringing some wrestlers from Canada. That's where Bobby Roode came from, and Eric Young came from, and it was impressive the way they were doing it, and there was a lot of action in the ring, outside of the ring, and then they brought Eric Bischoff in, and they brought Hulk Hogan in, and it ruined TNA wrestling because it went to the NWO Revisited with a group called Aces and Eights, and they did the same thing the NWO did, and it killed it. It literally killed it, and I'm hoping that AEW doesn't do the same thing, because it's got a real shot at maybe not supplanting WWE, but giving a viable option to people who watch WWE only because it's the only thing in the neighborhood. So, yeah, it's a good alternative if you like professional wrestling. AEW's tight. I do watch it.
Bro, I appreciate that that knowledge, because again, I know this is something that we have to cover more on this platform, because people want to know about combat sports. And to be honest, man, they've forged and they've earned their way into the conversation. We start talking about combat sports. So hopefully I'll be able to learn more from you and we can have more dialogue about this, because this is important. And also, the more people we can reach talking about a variety of topics, is kind of where we want to go. So yeah, that was good information.
It'd be interesting. I'm really looking to see what Bellator is going to do in 2021. I'm hoping they continue the number of events that they have, and that their backing stays where it is, or maybe they can attract more finances, and they could bring Bellator on a grander scale. I'm still hoping that they can strike a deal with TBS or TNT, I don't think they'll get Paramount Network. They've kind of, when they stopped being Spike Network, they kind of dropped a lot of that macho. You know, they still have Bar Rescue back on, but they dropped a lot of the macho aspect of what they were doing. Because if you think back in the 2000s when Spike came on, they were the network for guys, and then out of that you got the Ultimate Fighter series.
Mhm.
So I think if AEW can attach themselves to another network, not AEW, Bellator can attach themselves to a network like that, they can have the same kind of partnership.
Yeah, I mean, look, in this day and time, I think we touched on it a little bit last week too. Man, platforms, whether it's what they call over the internet or over the wire or over the whatever that acronym is. Listen, it allows you to find people because everybody's got a voice. Everybody has a platform. There's a channel for anything that you're looking for. And those major networks like TNT and TBS, they've kind of been able to stay afloat because their original programming was always pretty decent, but they've also been able to broker big time deals like with the NCAA tournament and Major League Baseball playoffs and stuff like that, and even the NBA playoffs, which they've been doing since like the late '80s, I think. So yes, this would be a good move for them. But as more people are cutting the cord, like you said, they got to figure that part of it out and maybe trying to create more of a presence on social media or even having an app or a platform. Probably need that.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, before I forget, I want to give a shout out to Katrina Harrison. She is my long lost sister from another mister and another mother, but that's okay. My mom kind of adopted her in college. Um, and then she had to end up adopting me as a brother because my mom said that wasn't part of the deal. Anyway, I don't know if I should feel horrible about that or not, but her birthday was Christmas Day. And her son's birthday was a week before that, or actually a little longer than a week before that. But I miss giving them shout outs and happy birthdays. I want to say they do watch the show. Happy birthday. Love you. Sorry about that.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, having a birthday on Christmas, that's cool, but it also sucks
Yeah.
because you get all your gifts at once.
And my
So,
mom's birthday being 5 days before Christmas, she even struggled with that. I'm like, but there was enough time. She's like, yeah, but my parents didn't. They tell you, hey, open one a
yeah,
day, open the other
the
one
way these
Friday.
payments set up, the way these bills set up, the way this
Yeah,
account set
yeah,
up, yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad I was born in July. I never had that issue.
Hey,
Never had that issue. And I'm so glad that, they didn't have cable back then, or I probably wouldn't have been born. Kind of glad they didn't have nothing else to do. Didn't have cable. Wasn't a lot of heat because they were in Canada at the time. They didn't have like central air heat. So
mm,
when that fire got low, get under the covers. Hey, since we're here, pretty much
yeah.
what happened.
Well, about that time, huh?
Ah,
All you had to do was say it, bro. That's all you had to do was say it. Yeah, man.
no, because it's funny because growing up, you know how people tell you the stork brought you, and this. These are the old tales.
Mm,
That's what they was tell in Montessori school, and so I said, "Well,
mm,
mom," I said, "Well, did the stork bring me?" She said, "No, no, the stork didn't bring me." I said, "Well, who brought me?" She said, "Rum." I was like, "Rum." Took me a while to catch on. When I finally caught on, I was like, "Wow." So
mm.
I was a hangover baby.
Hey, man.
But she said
However,
I
by
was the
any means
best.
necessary, bro.
Huh? By any means necessary.
By any means
You
necessary,
went to
bro.
Malcolm X. Wow. Well, she did say I was the best gift she ever received. Then my daughter came along and took that spot, but that's okay. I had it for a number of years, and I'm okay with that.
Can't win them all, bro.
Can't
Can't win
win
them
them
all.
all. Can't win them all, but that's okay. As long as I can, I could say at one time I was the best in the world to
There you
somebody.
go. There
To
you go.
somebody. We all got to retire and move on.
Transitions, my friend.
I
Transitions.
did have some people contact me, and thank you for contacting me on Instagram. Yes, the auction for the Badger will happen in 2021. Thank you all for still showing interest. So, just want to let you know, bro. People are showing interest. They need you to tighten up, though. They're not really into the fishing hat. But I did tell him he'll probably keep his hat on at all times. All times. So y'all might want to think about that. Just saying. Hats and certain hairdos don't go together.
Just trying to figure out, bro, what kind of friends you really are. Like,
I'm a
the
true
more we
friend.
do this, I realize that you really
I'm a
don't care
true
about my
friend.
well-being, bro.
I am a true friend, and I am here for your well-being. Look, I'm only responsible for them winning the auction for dinner. Again, whatever happens after that, that's between y'all and the Badger. And yes, there is an opportunity for multiple winners. If y'all, win the auction that put the same amount in, I'll let y'all work that out. He does work out, so his stamina level is up to here. Good to go. Just trying to help you out.
You know what? Stop helping me. That's fine. I
Don't be
don't.
like,
I don't want your help anymore. It's cool. Like I got it. I got it from here. Don't worry about it. I got it. We're good.
hey,
That's the kind of help you're giving. I don't want it. It's cool. It's
don't
fine.
be like that. Hey, so what's coming up tomorrow?
Man, we got an interview tomorrow. Maybe. Let's look. Hey, man, tune in. Hashtag watch the pod, bro. Watch the pod. Do you have to ask these questions? I have to
I'm
ask.
not asking for my benefit.
I'm just saying, you asking for them. I'm letting them know directly that if you just hashtag watch the pod, then guess what? Then you won't have to ask questions because you're watching the pod. Then you know everything that's going on.
In his mind, that made sense. So we'll go with that. All right. Shout out to the Baltimore Ravens for beating two bad teams 2 weeks in a row. Sometimes you got to do that on your way to a championship. Shout out to the Jets for deciding, hey, our ego is worth more than the best quarterback in the last 10 years, besides Lamar Jackson. So shout out to the Jets for deciding we're going to finally play and win and try to save our coach's job when we should be the ones packing the bags for our coach and sending him out the door. Second coming of Freddie Kitchens. Sentiment.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in with us today. That was unexpected. That's the kind of man he is. He takes low shots every time he gets a chance, but we're going to be okay. Trevor Lawrence will be coming to Duval. We'll be a much better franchise for it. Shout out to everybody at Foundation Nation for rocking with us today. We will see y'all tomorrow at this same time. We're not dressing up because for what? Christmas is over. This is what you're going to get going into the new year. Like, share, and subscribe to this show. Oh, go ahead. You had something?
I guess I got to give a shout out to my wife, my mom, my daughter, the red belly. But I got to give a shout out to my wife because when I tell y'all Christmas, the food on Christmas was something special. She cooked Christmas Eve all day. For breakfast, she had French toast, apple cake, hash brown casserole. I mean, it was, and then she made a seafood quiche and one with sausage, but I didn't mess with that one. It was, and then for dinner, we had, I'm telling you, breakfast was incredible. And then you turn around and for dinner, and she had cod, she had a seafood rice, she had carrot souffle. It, bro, when I tell you, it was so good. She asked me to make breakfast this morning. I got up and made her a crab meat omelet with onions, peppers, cheese, and bacon, and toast. That's how much I appreciated the food on Christmas. So I just had to get that in because I'm still on cloud nine over what she did on Christmas.
So, yeah. All right. Well, there you have
Something smart
it.
to say about her?
I have nothing smart to say about her, but I will say we will see y'all tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad place. Come ready because we might have something, but you got to hashtag watch the pod to find out. We'll see y'all then. The holidays, they know we're getting ready to go into New Year's, spread a little bit of joy because come after December 1st, it's back to the ratchetness. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We out of here. Peace.